the Arsenal, a Small Knights podcast hosted by Lord Hood, Latisan, and Glacies.
Episode 87, recorded on July 27th, 2014. Dat Annunciation. I'm Latisan Sklay, and welcome to the Arsenal, a podcast where we talk about Spiral Knights. And, in the words of Ender Necro in the livestream chat, who are the guests this week?
Moo.
Hi, I am guest.
Hi, I am guest two.
Well, I forgot a S. Ender Necro. Okay, good. This is, we got Greenlink and Glacies with us this week. Our good pals. And...
I'm not a murderer.
No,
not
only
Glacies.
creative.
I'm actually Greenlink and he's Glacies. I swear. He's the one with the sexy voice. Beautiful.
Oh, that is true. Who was it? Blue Flood that couldn't get over Greenlink's voice? That's Spiral Lights? That was hilarious. Anyways, yes, Lord Hood is driving from Atlanta to New York today. So that's 11 hours on the road, and he's doing, I think, half of the driving? Something like that. So he's going to be tired and on the road and not playing anything. So that's where he is. And Zhang, we don't talk about him anymore. So...
Who's Zhang?
I don't know, I didn't say anything. We got a lockbox here, and so I guess I'll just go ahead and open this one up this week. For the sake of, I don't know, how much, we don't have too much dough this week. It should be good. A lockbox, let's see what's inside this week. Squeaky? Oh man, should we, if Zhang no longer exists, should we not do the squeaky thing, since that was his little bit?
If
Dilemmas.
he exists, was it ever his thing?
Exactly.
Nah, it was Glacie's thing, he started it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Glaciers
Yeah,
for
okay, that-
president.
And by Glacies, I mean Greenlink, who's actually Glacies, because Glacies says that Greenlink is Glacies, because
Yeah.
Glacies is actually Greenlink. Oh-ho.
Oh,
Open the box already.
Alright, we got, whoa! Angry flames and toxicity. But not the forum kind. So, more Compound 42 related things as we continue our discussion on, what are they called? Danger missions. I'm good at this. We've
I
got
love my danger missions.
we've got free money. Sort of. Depends on how lucky you are. As being offered by Chalk 3, and we'll talk about that. And then casting your nomination for an Oscar. I like that, Greenlink. As HRPB presents a movie that should probably be made, but at the same time would make people very hungry. It would do
Like
great for
on
movie
TikTok.
theaters. All the movie theaters would want to show that movie because then people would go and buy their food. Particularly churros, but we'll get to that.
Churros. So beautiful. So amazing.
So sugary and crisp. Right, well, let's jump into it then. We got our mission report to start things off, and we'll get the ball rolling. Zhang, how was your week?
So, Latisan, how was your week?
Bud, how was your week? Mission report goes something like this. Gaming experiences since the last podcast is where we are at here. And I didn't do much in Spiral Knights except run some Ironclaw Munitions Factory for the crowns. Because it's the best I could do, because people aren't online when I play these days. Which is kind of late at night. So that was me. Which is not much spectacular happened. Didn't get to do basically anything that I would normally do. Didn't do anything on Maximus Efficiency. Didn't do anything worth recording. In fact, the recording software on my computer is not on my computer right now, so I need to get it reinstalled at some point, which is a bit of a chore, considering I had to reboot my entire computer to update to the newest OS. So that meant moving all of the data on my hard drive to an external hard drive, then wiping my computer clean, and then installing the new OS, and then moving all my data back on. So it's like I have a new machine, except not.
That seems like a real hassle.
It kind of is,
That
and
sounds difficult.
it does go to show that Macs aren't perfect. But this seems to be a bug that's happening to some people with some releases or some. Just there's no extra some. Sorry, some people who are installing this one OS, the Mavericks OS. So it's probably something worth checking too. Mainly for people that have old computers like mine. Mine's actually 2011 hardware, and I'm trying to like jump 3 OSs up. So I'm going like from version 7 to version 10 kind of thing. It's like going from Windows 98 to Windows 8 and just trying to do that in one install. You might have problems.
Yep.
So, though my old OS wasn't from 1998. Anyways, Macs aren't perfect. It was a bit of a hassle, but it works.
Well, when
So.
PCs aren't perfect either. They each have their pros and cons.
Indeed. But when you can run a PC on a Mac, there's really not much debate anymore.
Linux is obviously perfect, though.
Yes. Are you running off of Linux right now?
Not at the moment, but I dual boot it on this PC.
Nice. Yeah, when I get into some later computer science classes, I'm going to be emulating Windows on my Mac and emulating Linux off of my emulated Windows off of my Mac. It's going to be beautiful. But anyways.
That Inception.
Yeah.
I couldn't even think of the Operationsception or something.
Yo, dog, I heard you like operating.
Well, what have you guys been playing this week?
Well, on Spiral Nights, I went on a Red Romulus winch run with one single bar. It was very beautiful and horrible.
Were you playing on EU?
Well, I got invited to your free Shadow Lair run, and I didn't realize it was EU, but I was actually happy that I went defensive for the level rather than doing Black Cat Cal and Chaos.
Yeah, that was probably smart.
I was the only one who didn't have to revive 3 times in a row.
Nice.
And other than that, I finally finished Bravely Default after Torments.
Ooh.
How many new pluses were there?
5.
Oh my gosh.
It was, in a way, not worth it. But it's still a really good game.
Doesn't it make you repeat sections of the game as well?
Yes. That's the new game plus we were talking about. It was horrible.
Beat the game. Alright, now play it on New Game Plus. Alright, now play New Game Plus Plus. And Plus Plus Plus. And Plus 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 Plus.
Exactly.
And one more beyond that. That's ridiculous.
It really is. It was horrible. But that was only for me on my end. What about you?
Greenlink?
Yeah, well, on Spiral Nights I've been heating those new Torture Fists and doing dangerous missions, mostly solo. I did Ghost in the Machine, and that's actually not that hard doing it by yourself.
I really just blame the fact that zombies. All the danger missions difficulty comes from the fact that there's new enemies, but because of both Heart of Ice and basically Ghost in the Machine didn't have any new enemies whatsoever, it made it quite easy.
And the souls are pretty easy to dodge when the enemies aren't in the way, so yeah. And that's all I did in Spiral Nights. Other than that, I've been playing quite a lot of the mobile Awesome Notes, and I had this one crazy game that we somehow got a 28 team kill streak.
Wow.
Dang.
I don't even know.
What, you get like Ayla, Raylan, Genji on a team? Just like insta-burst one guy?
We had Froggy G, that guy got 4 kills. I was Admiral Swiggins, which is basically the support guy, got 2. And I was setting up Leon for like the rest of the kills.
Nice. That's an interesting team comp. Stuns from Froggy and lockdown from Swiggins and mass damage, tons of damage from Leon. That's fun.
And the funniest part is that the kill streak was ended when the guy ran into a turret and died.
GG.
The best way to go.
Yep, that's about it. Did
Nice.
not know that music plays when you get 15 kills without dying.
Does it? Does it refresh the music?
It plays the main theme, and through once extended, but then it stops once it's done.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, for interactive music.
Mm.
Yeah, it actually plays the character theme at what, 3 kills? Like whenever.
3 kills.
Yeah. I guess this is an
Yeah.
Awesome Knots podcast. Never mind.
I thought you were
Not
gonna say
yet.
that it makes it more awesome nuts.
Yeah, it's true. Also, actually, last thing that came to mind while we're on a bit of a derail, when Glacies got his mic, I was basically messaging him on Skype on the hour, like, is it here yet? Is it here yet? Is it here yet? And then when it did get here, we celebrated with, like, playing League for, like, 4 hours.
Wow.
It was
A
ridiculous.
beautiful league.
It was fun, but that was just based on MOBAs and the fact that Glacies is here with his mic after 3 millennia of not having it.
This is now a MOBA podcast.
It's finally here.
The Spiral Knights MOBA. Get on it, someone.
Someone make a puzzle MOBA.
That'd be interesting.
That would be interesting.
Oh, and Zebramp. I didn't mention him. Now that I'm thinking about it and seeing it in the show notes. But Zebramp has no voice. Because apparently he was out late having fun with friends. And being around people makes you lose your voice, don't you know? That's why we all sit in our houses and play video games instead. Because we want our voices. So don't go out and talk to
Excellent.
people, or else you won't be able to talk to them because you will have no voice, like Zebramp
Yeah, that's
did.
bad. No talking to people. You can only talk to us.
5 people per day.
That's where he is, unfortunately. He should be hopefully back next week. If things do not happen that prevent such things, he should be back with us with his voice recovering. Unless he goes and talks to people again, but he knows better than that now.
Or if I have anything to do with it.
Oh ho ho. Are you confessing?
Yes, I took the last cookie.
How
Down with
dare
you. I'm trying to think what's the best way to degrade the situation, but maybe I should just interrupt you with a bumper. How's that?
You should just put it on cold milk.
What? Never mind, I'm
I'm
running
just-
the bumper.
You should make a horrible pun and fail horrible. Crackle. Like a cookie.
I'm not sure I get it. Anyways, the Moorcroft Manor bumper is running. And now it's over. So our news and discussion this week is nothing. Did Spiral Knights actually post anything this week? I never even checked.
Aside from the Toto drones, the Almir prize boxes, and the Serene prize ancient prize boxes, no.
They posted one Fan Art Friday piece, which is actually surprisingly few, and a tweet asking how we felt about the torture guns.
Well, what was the response for that? Let's see. This is what I get for not actually paying attention to the game I podcast about.
Actually, to note, I do remember that when I was running Red Romulus Twins, Lanta posted a message saying, "I hope you have a great Friday," to everyone.
Oh yes, I remember GFJ telling me about that, and then they corrected themselves by saying, even though it may be Saturday for half of the world.
Yeah. And they specifically, well, I PM'd them, them during the run, and they said they may do actually more of those messages depending on how well it was received.
Interesting.
I just thought it was nice just to,
Yeah, they only usually do that on holidays with their random jokes.
It's one of those things. Oh, and I don't know what it is. But that's nice of them.
it makes them 3 rings.
Yeah, absolutely. Advantages of being a smaller game development company, I guess.
3 Rings doesn't listen to us. I just received a private message from a GM.
Well, yes, as far as the updates go, they all end on Tuesday, right? 29th?
Actually, I
We
thought
had
they were
Discussion
ending.
before. I think they was like one
That's right.
on one day and one the day after.
Mm-hmm. So, things are ending on Monday and Tuesday, I guess is the point, so get your grinding done now. It's the end of the day, so end of Monday, end of Tuesday, so you have until, for another 24 hours at least, to get your stuff in. As of this recording, but it may be gone by the time I actually get this episode posted. We will see. In any case, Monday and Tuesday, the 28th and 29th of July is when those ended. That's it for the news. So our discussion this week, again, as we continue our walk through danger missions, we come to Compound 42, land of... It's basically the campgrounds for all forum goers ever, but particularly the Spiral Knights ones.
Please enjoy your stay.
In the most toxic, fiery place imaginable. A brief introduction to Compound 42. It was the second danger mission that was introduced in July of 2012, not long after Legion of Almire. It came pretty quick after that, which was good on Spiral Knights. That was the time when they weren't really telling us what they were working on.
But they did open the testing server for this mission, I believe.
Yes, they did. I remember testing it. It was the same time around the shard bombs, I believe, actually.
That is true. I do remember the shard bombs incoherence and hearing it from, in fact, I think you, Glacies. So that was a while ago. Actually, almost 2 years exactly. Now that I think about it.
July 2012.
I hadn't realized the Compound 42 was that long ago. Dang.
It doesn't seem like it, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Right, well, this is the mission that has gremlins and slimes. Mostly slimes, some gremlins.
Yep.
And both the fire and poison statuses are equally prominent, with some enemies being able to inflict both. This is the only mission that has the only levels that has the toxoils, which are oilers that are also immune to poison as well as fire, and the sludge they leave behind is more like the chromalisk spit, where you walk through it, you can be inflicted by poison, and the oil slick can actually also light on fire and burn you.
Wouldn't it be more like the boiler slick, not the, you know, I'm just going off the basis of that it's basically a boiler combined with a toxic gel, so...
What did I say?
Chroma. Something.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, yes. I was just thinking about the idea that it's like a slick that you can walk over and be inflicted by status from.
My apologies.
No, that's all
right.
good. But it has a lot of... This was actually one of the big lore centers, was it not? For a while?
I think the only lore center specifically was just more or less at the ending. Because even at the beginning, it just gave, okay, Herix was just working on this, and that was it. It
Well, it was more than we ever had at the time.
True.
I think Operation Crimson Hammer had probably the most.
That is true.
That's actually something interesting when I was running with, this was a couple of weeks back. I never noticed at the end that specifically one of the monitors was broken. And there were 8 monitors representing the other 8 Crimson Order members.
I actually counted that recently, and yep.
It's
That's
a nice
kind of
little
interesting.
thing that they put in.
Yeah, it's very nice. I like the flavor. Anyway, lore's still coming. We've got Herrick's stuff still in the works right now in the new missions and things like that. Sorry, trying to get my bearings a bit here. So it's also, and I didn't know this either, but Greenlink did. This is the first place to feature the Boss 2 remix.
Yeah, I can tell you a little story about that.
Yeah.
In the game files several months prior to this, there was a track in the music folder listed as Boss 2, and it actually sounds different to the final version that you hear, because they went and remixed it, reworked it for the actual release. And if you're interested in hearing what it originally sounded like, the user Bahamut Void has it uploaded on their channel.
Interesting, alright. Could you pull a link for that?
I have one right here, actually.
Alright, cool. If you could throw it here in the notes, that would be great, and I'll go ahead and... Or anywhere.
Post it in the chat. That works too.
That's fine. Alright.
My apologies.
I'll grab that after then. That's cool. Is it the same Boss 2 remix that they used when you fight Margirl?
Yes.
No. Well, yes, actually, but
Well,
I
yeah,
actually like the original more.
the original is unused now, but this is the reworked version, which plays when you fight Margirl, when you do this mission, and the other danger missions except Legion of Almire.
Right, and which contrasts with the current boss music, which is used for the 4 main bosses, Snarb, Jelly, Romulus, and Vanaduke.
What about Cirrus?
What does play with Cirrus? I don't remember.
Boss 1.
Boss
one.
one.
That's a good trivia question. Got to keep that in mind. Alright, so before we get into strategy and gear to bring, we should probably explain statuses again, and I won't go too overboard with numbers here, but we can talk about the basics of everything. So fire is a status that's going to deal a fixed amount of damage to you over time. It is not random. Once you're inflicted by fire, you are going to tick for a point of damage or a fixed amount of damage as soon as you're lit on fire. The instant you're lit on fire, you take your first point of damage, and then for a fixed interval after that, which depends on how much resistance or vulnerability weakness you have to the status, will determine how frequently you tick for damage, I believe ranging from 2 to 5 seconds. I've not looked at my charts in so long. Somewhere in that neighborhood, and the amount of damage that you'll tick, which can be anywhere from like 1 pip of health to 5 or so. Obviously that also depends on your defense and stuff like that. So it's a fixed count, and every tick that you take, as with other statuses, whenever you're inflicted with a status or take damage, they made it so that you don't once you've fully charged a weapon, you no longer lose the charge on taking damage, which is amazing, particularly for bombers. It's a really old change that they made. But upon being inflicted by status, when you're charging a weapon, you don't completely lose the charge and start over. It bumps the charge meter down by about 50%, with the exception being shock, because shock completely interrupts you. But sticking with fire, if you're trying to charge a big angry bomb and you have high vulnerability to fire, you can actually light on fire and tick soon enough that it's like impossible to charge the bomb, because as you charge it up, it ticks back down. Though maybe it outraces. I've not actually seen that. It probably outraces. You can probably charge it. It just takes a long time.
The thing to specifically note about that actually is that it doesn't just go down, it also goes up. So if you charge as soon as you take a tick of fire damage, it shoots up straight to 50%.
I did not know that.
It's actually, I would call it more of a bug, but it's
more like a professional exploit, it seems like.
Speed runs.
And if you put up your shield, you cannot resist fire. This is the last thing that's relevant here. Let's see. Unlike shock, damage... What? Does shielding absorb damage?
Yeah.
Yes, if you put shield up, you can't take damage, but you still spasm.
You don't spasm from fire. It doesn't interrupt anything except charging. Fire doesn't.
Yeah, I'm saying you can prevent damage by shielding, but you still spasm from shock. Completely separate point.
Okay.
You
So
shield
yeah,
from
shocking.
damage.
But if I don't shield and I'm on fire, and I do shield and I'm on fire, I take less damage?
No. You take the exact same amount of damage from fire,
Whether you're shielding or not, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You still hear the tick, but it does pure fire damage. In fact, it doesn't even do damage to the shield. Whereas shock just does, I think, minor elemental damage. Because even with a shock immunity shield, you still take damage.
Okay, so shock is the one that gets... Yes, that's what I thought. Alright, I'm just reading this wrong. My bad.
Just to clarify, the Seraphynx Angelic Aura will not protect you either.
Once you're on fire, always on fire. Except for remedy capsules.
Oh. I was going to say, if you dodge exactly at the right time, it's supposed to take a tick, you'll avoid damage from fire.
Oh. Alright, so dashing does it.
So you can use that as basically a 1 HP saver, which you never know, may save your life one day.
Dangerous thing about fire is that it burns through your sonic mode, which is what we call when, because there's a mechanic in the game where if you would have taken a hit when you have, I think it's 3 pips of health or more.
3, I believe.
And you take a hit that would have been lethal, it will leave you with 1 pip of health left. Reminiscent of Sonic the Hedgehog from other Sega games in which you take a hit, lose all your rings, so you're basically completely vulnerable, but you're not dead yet. You get one more chance. And you have a chance to recover some of your quote-unquote health. if you want to and or probably should. So the point is, fire does activate sonic mode, but then it ticks again a couple seconds later and you die anyways. So when you're at low health, it's especially, like, Compound 42 is the one level where I'd recommend, like, keep your health topped off as much as possible. Especially since once you get into a fight and your health goes down, there's no guarantee that you can heal yourself back up if you're poisoned. The more resistant you are to fire, the shorter it lasts, the less damage you take from ticks, and the longer amount of time between ticks, as we were saying. So just wanted to reiterate that. Is there anything else that I'm missing for fire?
No, that's about it. Just other than that there's varying strengths of it, which you'll talk about in a minute.
Yep.
Fire hurts. How about that?
Fire hurts. It can be dangerous, particularly in Compound 42 where you can't heal. And why can't you heal?
Children.
Yes. Poison is the status that lowers your offensive and defensive capabilities as well as removing your ability to heal. So you cannot heal while poisoned. It lasts a long time. The longest status, I believe, save for Curse, lasting up to, I think it's 14 seconds.
14, yes.
5 to
Can
14.
confirm.
And so it will reduce the amount of damage you deal by up to 15% and the amount of damage you take by up to 25%. Poison does not affect fire damage. Not that that's relevant, but just if you're people that will say to you, oh, this mission's completely unfair because you're also poisoned and fired, like burning, fired, whatever. And so you're going to be taking more damage from your fire because you're poisoned. That doesn't work like that. It's oncoming direct damage from enemies. Fire does not increase damage when you are poisoned. Shock does, but it's so insignificant it doesn't really matter. Like the difference between 50 health and 60 health is incredibly insignificant, as both of those equate to like less than a quarter of a pip. Well, the more resistant you are to poison, same with fire, the less duration it is, and also those percentages, the 50 and 25%, will actually go down to, there's a base where, like, if you're fully resistant to poison and you are poisoned, it's something like, I can't remember numbers, I don't want to make stuff up. I'd assume it's 15%, but I'm not sure. I know it's somewhere in that neighborhood. It's pretty low. You can fully resist it. And then tell me, because I've not gotten to look it up and or remember, can you fully resist the slicks?
Yes, you can.
Yes.
So
as long as you have the generalized moderate immunity.
Right, so that's it's the full fire resist on armor, full fire resist on helmet, and plus just a low UV or equivalent, right?
Yep,
Yes.
that's definitely right.
Alright, cool. This is harkening back to like 6 months ago when I was studying this stuff, and I no longer remember. Because I don't do Sprawl Knights and practical stuff anymore. Yep. So you do need that much. If you don't have a fire UV on something, you can bring a sprite perk or a trinket, and you can walk through the fire and not be afflicted by fire, which is pretty significant. You can also do the same with the poison if you'd rather be lit on fire than poisoned. I think your better bet is to resist the fire, not the poison, though. Also, it's hard to get full resistance on poison. I think you'd have to bring Skelly, right? Or maybe one of the gunslingers.
Actually, Dragon Scale would generally be the best, but
Well, yes.
I personally would go for poison resistance over fire resistance just because of the fact even with a decent amount of fire resistance, you're going to take only a certain amount of damage. It just depends also on the mechanics of fire because of the damage bonuses.
Sure.
Because in the end, poison could be doing a lot more damage just because of the fact you're getting hit too much, whereas fire's just going to be passive, and as long as you can handle it well, you shouldn't get ignited.
I suppose that's true. Maybe I'm just spiteful against the fire because as many people do, and we'll get to in a second, I bomb in Compound 42 with the Dark Retribution, and not being able to charge the bomb because I'm on fire is more than a mild inconvenience when there's that many enemies on screen. But anyways, gremlins and slimes in the level, so weapons that you're bringing are definitely ones that deal shadow damage, and you see the Akron a lot, and I approve. Grand Faust also works. Tenza, Umbra Driver, Dark Retribution. The one thing that's probably not worth your time is the Obsidian... What's it called?
Obsidian Crusher.
Well, both the Crusher and with the Carbine.
And the Edge.
And yeah, all three of them. Yes, point is they're dealing poison, so don't get the reduced damage shadow with the poison because nothing except, well, gremlins poison, but there's not too many of them.
Obviously, the best weapon is Cautery Sword.
Obviously.
You can't give up that slime high bonus. It's the most important thing out there.
Totally is. Star sarcasm. Asterisk.
Bring a combustor.
Bring Ash of,
Agni.
yeah.
Why not? YOLO,
That's the best
right?
bomb for Compound 42. Hands down.
Ash of Agni. And Venom Veiler. I hear that one's really effective.
You solo it every day with those weapons, right?
Yeah, it only
Quite.
takes him, what, 2 hours to do 3 levels? Well,
Trust us. It's on a podcast. It has to be true.
Obviously. No, please don't bring fire or poison weapons. Goodness, you're gonna get kicked from my party if you do it. Even if you say I heard it on your podcast, I'm saying no, it was a joke. Learn sarcasm. You can bring crowd control, which is a lot more effective. Mainly freeze things. Interesting thing is Oilers and lit Oilers actually have freeze resistance, which kind of makes sense, but kind of doesn't. But the thing is, they can kind of stand in your Shiver Mist Buster for quite some time before they actually extinguish and then freeze. I've put a Shiver Mist Buster down and had an Oiler walk all the way across the bomb and not actually get frozen at all. I think I extinguished him, but I did not light him on, or I did not freeze him.
That is pretty frustrating.
Compound 42 is the one danger mission, I think, along with Ghost in the Machine, where it doesn't necessarily punish you for just having one person. It really hurts trying to do the last fight in Legion of Almire as just one person, more in comparison relative to Compound 42 or Ghost in the Machine, but I'm going to focus on Compound 42. Heart of Ice is kind of the same way, just because having more fiends and undeads and things like that aggro to you is a bit more tricky. Compound 42 has the enemy populations are sparser, or when there's lots of enemies, it's a nice big open kiteable area. So that said, where they're not overloading you with enemies, I generally think the better strategy, the one that I use, is damage over crowd control.
Yeah, and the fact that when you're in those rooms, they have fixed spawning patterns, so you can preemptively place a bomb or something like that.
This is very true. So your freeze weapons are good for crowd control, but crowd control may not be very good for most danger missions, maybe less good for Compound 42. Particularly, the fewer people you run, the less you should rely on crowd control and more on just finishing the fight. In my opinion. I don't know, that may not be the generally accepted position, but that's the one that I take.
Yeah.
It's my podcast, don't judge me. Dragon Scale, it seems like, is a very particular armor and helmet and shield that were made actually before the mission, and the mission would seem to be made to cater to this set that no one really seemed to use too much. But it offers piercing and elemental defense, which are the two types you need against gremlins and slimes. Gremlins deal elemental, slimes deal piercing. And it also gives you resistance to poison and fire. How convenient.
Wow, it's like the death sort of everything.
So if you can get a fire UV on your helmet and a poison UV on your armor, you can walk all the statuses, resist all the damages, and be happy.
Makes the mission way too easy.
Yes, I like the points that Greenlink's making here, where the Fallen set resists both poison and fire, but has normal and shadow defense instead. Also, the Angelic armor sets, like 3 Rings hates, apparently, all of those sets, and makes them terrible. So they're not worth investing in. Just on a side note, even the Heavenly Iron that you can, or what is it, the one that you get from, that's it, right? That you get from the Sanctuary Alchemy machine?
Yeah.
Even those aren't that good. Like, anything that you make out of Angelic armor, it's not worth.
Actually, Armor of the Fallen's not too bad with Black Cat Cowl, specifically just only in lockdown, but...
this is true, I guess.
The one thing to point out if you do decide to take Armor of the Fallen, be wary that it has a damage penalty versus Fiends, and while there aren't many Fiends in this level, there are the occasional Silkwing.
This is true. So your standard 3-hit combo kill may not be a 3-hit anymore.
It may be a 9-hit.
Perhaps not that much, but depends on if you're using a shadow weapon to take it down or not, I guess. I don't know. Cautery Sword bypasses that. OP. Sarcasm.
AoA does too.
Ash of Agni. High damage against Silkwings.
Come on,
Pro
guys, we need
strats.
to use the magma driver.
That too. Hit more targets. You'll light more things on fire. Burns them faster. They do. Oilers that are on fire in Compound 42 do not heal, do they? I have not observed them healing.
Do they just heal when they're lit on fire, or am I... Like when they're initially?
I know.
Actually don't know that answer specifically, but I believe that they are only healed once. And the worst thing possible are the turrets respawning more.
Yes. Of course.
They bring more of the Oilers.
Yes, that's probably worth mentioning. Now there's another new enemy, the Polyp. It's a Toxoil Polyp, and it has three different attacks. Actually, it has a normal spike fling. The Polyp is the slime turret. Wanted to be clear on that. It has the normal spike fling where it'll do your 1 shot, 3 shots, or 5 shots in a wave, depending on what tier you're in. I guess it's only tier 2 and tier 3. Just kidding. And it can also lay down oil slicks in a large swath around itself, and it can also spawn more Toxoils to fight you. All of them can be very dangerous. You'll see.
It can spawn up to 2.
Yes.
Yeah, it is
so.
up to 2.
Can Toxoils light themselves? I seem to observe that. I don't see any source of fire, and yet I see fiery Toxoils coming after me in some cases. I'm like, did you light yourself? It seems like that happens.
I think it's more of a bug than it is anything, because I've seen that happen even with the oil slicks specifically in like the arenas. Is that I've seen one where it's just lit up before just from one flare, and it's probably been all the way over on the other room for whatever reason would reach to the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of a bug than it is actually just a feature. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a feature, not a bug.
So yes,
It's a bug. We're calling it a feature now.
Yeah.
So if you don't have any of the armor, if you don't have like your divine mantle or anything, you probably want to prioritize your fire resistance. Greenlink's with me on the fire resistance prioritization. Let me clarify. Greenlink writes our show notes. He's really helpful in that way. He's basically the guy who brings the show. We just kind of talk about it. So, A, thanks a lot. I keep saying thanks, and I'm going to keep saying it because it's really helpful and really awesome. And B, I mean, the strategies shown are Greenlinks and do not necessarily represent those of the Arsenal podcast or its affiliates, including the Italian Institute of Nuclear Physics, except we are endorsing these because they're in our show notes and they're ours, so this is totally a thing. It just means when he's saying fire and Glacies is saying poison, is just because Greenlink says fire and Glacies says poison. Nope, they're switched, right? Glacies says fire and Greenlink says poison. Because
Still keeping this up.
Yes. Vogkug. Yes.
That's not
Vog. Yes, it's a word. Vogkub armor, allied shields are good alternatives. Yes, they are. You just have to wait longer for the poison to wear off if you need to heal. This is true. I run, because I do not have Dragon Scale, I run Divine Mantle, Volcanic Demo Helm, and the Grey Ally Shield. So, yay resistances.
Yeah, I wear Vog and Ally, and I have a low fire UV, and I can usually finish the level at full health.
That seems to be my case too.
Just have to wait a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
There is another suggestion, actually, I could probably bring up.
Yeah.
I've noticed myself first time. Running with a smaller group, it might actually be better than a larger group just because of the fact that you can, one, interrupt their attacks, and two, they have much less health, making it easier to crowd control as long as you have someone who actually knows what they're doing and not just going to use Cautery Sword.
Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, the Polyp turrets, if you 3-swing them in smaller parties, they will stop firing their spikes, and that is probably the most helpful thing ever.
It is. You do need to be aware of your limits, though, because there are this is the case for me with my build in Tier 2 currently. On Tier 2, it varies. The ratio of damage dealt to health of the enemy is what determines whether you can quote-unquote stun lock, knock back, knock down, whatever the word is, keep them from attacking with your biggest swing. For me, when I'm not poisoned, I can do the knockdown, knockback. When I am poisoned, my damage is reduced to a point where I cannot. And I'm actually sitting right on the threshold. So that is something to be aware of. Poison's actually going to reduce it unless you are resisting it. So just be aware.
I think Acheron in Tier 3 on smaller parties goes over this threshold even when poisoned, but don't quote me on that.
I would imagine so, but yes. And I'll recommend this on Ghost of the Machine too. And I will in Compound 42. It's better to solo. Probably optimal is duo. I don't take 3 or more. I don't prefer to. When people ask if they can come, I say, sorry, no, please. Just because I don't like that. I will solo it. The only danger mission I can actually solo because I have the gear for it. And duo is fine also. Any more than that, and yes, it does get very hard. So that's a good point. And if you don't have any of these resistances, unless you like burning sparks, or you're a masochist, or you just want to see what it's all about, you might want to steer clear of this danger mission. It's very status heavy, it hurts a lot, it cripples you pretty hard. Bringing chaos here is the biggest mistake you could possibly make, unless you're really good, or really lucky. If you're really good or really lucky, I mean, go for it, by all means.
You're bound to get hit by one of the fire streaks.
Yeah.
And your health is not going to last.
It very much doesn't, especially when you can't heal. It makes a difference whether you can heal for 8 seconds or not heal for 8 seconds. You never realize how much until you're poisoned, for 50 or 70% of a level. Drift Builder says, I always bring chaos. I say, I have sparks. Or something to that effect.
I have 4,828 sparks. Don't worry. I'll bring Proto.
Do it. Use the damage bonus from reviving, right? Pro strats. You don't deal enough damage on your own, so you purposely die so you can revive and deal extra damage.
That's the plan.
Wow.
New meta.
Sparks for everyone. Alright, well, your battle sprites. Someone asked, what's the best battle sprite in your opinion? Ellis Alexi asked that. We can talk about battle sprites as a whole another time, perhaps when the 4th battle sprite gets announced or leaked or anything. But
the 4th battle sprite was already released, though.
4th and 5th.
The black
Pardon?
cat. The black cat. It's the 4th battle sprite, obviously.
Ah, of course. Okay, well, a new 4th battle sprite. That's not a proto.
For a battle sprite.
But it is new. It gets either Dread Seal or some aura.
Yeah, but the abilities are exactly the same and they didn't even change the colors. It's still a ray of light coming from a black cat.
That logic.
Dat logic. Speaking of cats, Dracons inflict fire, Mass Wraiths inflict poison, so yay Seraphings. And it's so true, because there's also lots of enemies, and respawning enemies, and Heart Attack becomes OP in this level, due to the amount of enemies that are spawning and respawning. And you can actually farm hearts. I have seen this, I have done this.
You get loads, and one thing to note about the Masquerade, if you were thinking, well, there's a lot of enemies here, maybe I should cloak and stay out of the way. There's actually a bug in the game in which some enemies still know where you are, even when you're cloaking, and some of those enemies include slimes.
Boom. Get wrecked, Masquerade lovers. Like me.
There's always Hex and Haze, at least. I mean...
But the cooldown, man, it's not worth the cooldown. I think you deal more damage by pressing your Q or whatever your button is for the quills, because you can press them like 3 or 4. You can quills 3 or 4 times in the time it takes for Hexing Haze to cool down. And I think if you quill full health enemies, you can actually deal more damage. Ooh, excuse me, than the Hexing Haze. In some cases.
Hexing Haze has the pro, though, of that edge and area of effect, and I was just going to note the fact that Masquerade still isn't as bad as compared to Dracon, just because of the fact Dracon's every single ability
Useless.
has fire on it.
Yeah.
Whereas at least Mass Grace Quills even do some damage
Yes.
and can even be helpful to the extent that gremlins can be poisoned.
Yes.
But hey, if I picked one ultimate, I can inflict stun, right? That's going to help.
It is actively bad to use a Dracon in Compound 42, and if you run a Dracon exclusively, we ask that you don't use it. Please. Not in Compound 42. Unless you are good at, like, using your Masquerade's, what's the one where he gives buffs to the whole group? With that ultimate?
Frenzied Firestorm, isn't it?
Yeah. Use the Firestorm into the wall, give your team the buffs, and then wait for the cooldown. That's honestly the best you can do. Or stun, sure. But stun on slimes lasts literally 0.9 seconds. So
That's
useless.
0.9 seconds of a difference.
Do not shield bash in Compound 42. You want to save your whole shield to resist the fire. And the stun does nothing. Gremlins also resist stun pretty hard.
As for shields, either bring Dragon Scale Shield, or if you need another one, well, Grey Light's shield works too. Or my favorite, Volcanic Plate Shield.
Good deal.
Bring your Swift Strike Buckler and Shield Bash everywhere.
Wow. Such good strategies.
That Skelly Shield would work just as well, just for the fact that the puddles of poison do damage to the shield.
Yeah, that's true.
If you don't have a poison immunity shield, you're kind of stuck in a place where, okay, if I hold up my shield, maybe I can survive after 500 seconds of Invincitinks versus it's going to break in maybe 3 or 4 hits.
So you can get invulnerability on shields. Does it still tick if you take damage? If you were to take damage? Or
Yes.
do you just completely ignore it?
It still takes damage.
It
but
still tinks. It's the same way. I don't know if you've Guardianed in Lockdown lately, but it does not reflect damage onto the shield.
Oh yeah.
Where you're standing in a haze, it just makes you Invincitink all the time. So, it's just like that. Alright, other points of interest. I haven't actually read these, so they should be interesting. You can sequence break the final room of the second depth with a gun like the Satenza. Plus fix tree onion rings. What's sequence breaking? I don't know this.
Sequence breaking is actually because basically it's skipping a point of the game that you're not intended to. So let's say there's a path. In order to take path A, you have to complete path B, but there's a break in the game where you can just go through path A without even looking at path B.
Or doing things out of order.
Yeah, that actually works a lot better.
Now, where is this? I'm not aware of this.
So
In the final...
very last room. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, you can go ahead.
Very last room, there's those 3 gates on the side.
Right.
With the 2 switches on the left and right.
Mm-hmm.
You know how there's a giant light lichen in the middle gate?
Right.
If you position yourself just right, which is somewhere in the very center of the room, and you start shooting with a Sentenza, you can actually damage it inside the gate. And once it dies, that gate opens and more enemies spawn, but the left and right gates are still shut.
Huh. Interesting. And you just shoot towards this big slime when you're standing?
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating.
Just make sure not to go too close, otherwise it'll try to attack you and lodge itself behind the gate. That's the really only biggest problem I've seen.
How have I not heard of this before? Fascinating. Please fix 3-ring circus.
It makes it way too easy, because that room is actually somewhat of a challenge. But if you completely ignore the left and right side, it's why are you bothering?
Yeah. Though honestly, I don't know. I think there's other rooms that are more challenging than the final room, but maybe that's just me, or maybe Darkeret is just that strong. I don't know.
Most challenging room in the game is obviously Hall of Heroes.
Obviously, so many knights, man. So intimidating.
I could not get on the elevator.
Such a good point. Does already having a Vitapod increase your chances of finding another Vitapod? This is actually a question worth discussing because some people swear by it. Other people swear against it. So, I guess, Greenlink, this is friends of yours that were first, that said this and brought it to our attention to talk about now?
They go solo in a danger mission because they believe that if they already have a Vitapod, they're more likely to find it in the loot room.
Do loot
And of
rooms
course-
even drop Vitapods? I've never even seen them.
Yes, they
Do
do.
they?
And
Okay.
They can drop multiple, and they even drop health pills and all that, which you
Right.
don't need.
Sure.
Vials everywhere.
Yeah. I guess the question that I posed in counter when I was talking to Greenlink about this earlier, and I said, throw it in the show notes, so just bring this to people's attention in case they've heard this argument too, is that why would this be the case? For there to be more likelihood of you finding a Vitapod when you already have one means that 3 Rings purposely coded it to be that way. And why would they ever do that? Other than to say, I hate players, but they don't. And that's plainly obvious, despite the flames and toxicity of Compound 42 forum goers.
Why do you get more money if you put money in a bank? The world may never know.
And it's gone.
So this is most likely false and probably just a case of RNG. So Vitapod's increasing your chances of fighting another Vitapod. We can't say no, but we'll say no.
I think the closest you'd ever see to that is just the chance of finding one that's higher than yours increases, because I don't think I've seen one aside from the one I've dropped drop lower than the one I have or the exact same value.
I've seen the exact same value a lot.
Well, then maybe I'm just lucky.
I guess so. Yeah, I think
Or
Vitapod's
unlucky.
just RNG completely. I don't think it has anything to do with which one you already have. The only time where you can guarantee Vitapod drops are in the early missions where they give them to you in the mission lobby.
Or that one Dark City Ritual Road 2.
Yes.
Isn't that just a rare chance, though?
No, it's
Oh,
behind that one
well-
building, guaranteed, right?
No.
Well,
Right.
Almost
don't
Yes,
think
guaranteed.
so.
it's guaranteed.
Really?
It's just because it's only on one specific level of that level set.
Behind
That
one
explains it.
specific building, behind one specific crystal. Right at
Did
the
I just-
beginning of the level, right?
No,
I
it can
think.
be anywhere in the level, but I think it's always Ritual Road 2.
Right.
I did some extensive testing on this.
All right.
That's interesting.
Well, good deal. Well, a great strategy, according to Sky Scythe, is to use the Gorgo Fist, the new gun. I assume he means the gun, not the shield?
Yes.
Or does he
Gorgo-
mean the shield?
No, that'd be Gorgo Mega.
Mega. Right, okay. And use that gun in narrow passageways to prevent the tox oil from igniting you and your team while your team dispatches whatever's on the other side of the crystal fence. What crystal fence?
What's a crystal fence?
Sky instructions too confusing. Got my foot stuck in the drying machine. I like the Gorgo Fist idea, but then again, Torta-guns are great for zoning, period. Particularly narrow passageways. I honestly can't see the Gorgo Fist being too useful in Compound 42, just because the amount of time it takes to get shots off compared to the damage that you're dealing per second. It's a fun little gimmick run, I guess, but I mean, for effective running, maybe not so much.
And when you think about it, there aren't really that many enemies in comparison to other levels, because the main scare of the level is the status.
Absolutely. Agreed. There you go, Compound 42. Dark Retribution OP in this level, especially if you learn where the monster spawns are and you can get some bombs going before they spawn. Very strong. And Akron, because Akron is best weapon. 2014.
Oh yeah, I just remembered there's another sequence break type thing in the room before the final room, where you can hit a switch with an alchemer.
Yeah, that's true too. Does that end the fight though?
No, it just opens the gate to the water pot faster.
Right, that doesn't give you any advantages when the enemies are still spawning because the gate doesn't open. Well, it counts, I guess. Well, our sprint question, I guess, has something to do with the small amounts of lore that we get in Compound 42 and otherwise, which is, plainly, what do you think Herix is planning?
Isn't it obvious?
Tell us.
What is it?
It's obviously his lunchbox. You just stole it from him.
I think it's a Rubik's Cube and he was just trying to solve it. But the artifact was a Rubik's Cube. I don't know. If his like Grandmaster, whatever the guy that Tinkins are, built the clockworks, then why would his minions need the energy to power the thing that he built? Unless that means the cradle is now missing a power source and it's gonna break down or something. I don't know. Maybe Herix is the good guy trying to save Cradle.
I personally think Herix is an anti-hero.
That's what I was thinking too, actually.
Yes. I mean, he's acted hostile towards knights, but he's also betrayed his own kind, so he's loyal to no one. And he must have an ulterior motive of some kind. And I personally think it's probably for the good or something.
The unfortunate thing that really only contradicts that, which, again, people assume it's Herix talking, but I forget which mission it was, but there's the swarms, the little black specks you see on the screen. It's the one where he says that the Iron Law has been broken. But
yeah.
If you notice, the entire entry does not specifically state that it's Herix who was writing that.
That was Farron, obviously.
Yeah. And one thing that I thought I'd point out, I think it was you, Glacies, that made the thread. You said that the Apocrine Harvester resisted everything except poison, fire, and to an extent stun.
Yeah.
And you tried to tie this into Compound 42.
Yep.
How so? Reiterate.
Well, if you think about Compound 42, how it's specifically for poison and fire, in the Apocrine Harvesters, the only weak thing it doesn't resist is poison and fire, and just slightly stun. Clearly, Herix made the toxigels for the Apocrine Harvester to prevent it from destroying the world, or something.
Maybe. Or it could be that Three Rings designed it so that the Apocrine Harvester can't be afflicted by freeze or shock to keep it from interrupting its attack patterns or not moving, because part of the theme of the Grasping Plateau is that the Apocrine Harvester is attacking and moving. I'm a swell sport.
Yes.
I'm probably even wrong, because I think Glacies is right about everything, so his status is correct. Or his theory is correct, but his status is correct. See, look what this discussion has done to me.
I am a status.
The Glacies status.
It burns and shocks.
And freezes and stuns and curses and sleep and poisons.
And it fires a bloodsteel charge at everything in the room.
And it causes doom and muddled and defense down.
And movement speed up 5 million %, so you can't control what you're doing.
In fact, it just stops time completely.
Unused content for the win.
Oh no, I've been inflected by the new Glacies status. Java has stopped running. Please restart your computer.
Blue screen of death.
Blue screen of death. Now deleting all files on your computer.
Would you like to just delete System 32?
Oh goodness. Well, there you go. Compound 42. Yay. Next week it's, what, Ghost in the Machine?
Oh, look, it seems Zeb posted his own theory.
Oh, get into that.
I will stick to the popular idea that the artifact is in fact a way to open the core. It seems plausible enough to me. Herix steals a key to open something really powerful. Totes legit.
Totes.
Taters.
Our next discussion is going to be on Heart of Ice, so if nothing else happens, we'll get to that next week. If you have anything... Pardon?
Welcome to Hell, Freeze Edition.
Yeah. You got out of the fire, out of the frying pan into the cold? I don't know. If you have any thoughts about strategies for Compound 42 or Heart of Ice, go ahead and let us know.
Sorry.
No, it's good. What is this straw poll?
This is the greatest poll to ever exist.
Herix took the artifact, which is at an Churros, Lunchbox, Rubik's Cube, Baby Toy, Glacies' Little Thingamajig, Apocrine Harvester's Footstool.
That's great.
And Churros is winning.
Of course it is. Wow, okay. Thank you, HRVV. You are about credit to team. Alright, we got Transmutations as a segment. This is where we talk about new things we want to see added to the game, but we don't have anything. So if you have any ideas, yes, you, sitting in your car at your computer, hopefully not talking to people because that makes you sick and lose your voice. Yeah, if you're in that demographic of people that listen to the podcast, then you could send us an idea, and we'd be happy to talk about it on Transmutations.
I've had an idea that I've been working on for quite a while now. Would you care to share it?
I'd care for you to share it, sure.
Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't care for you to... which is it? I do care or I don't care for you to share? I do care. Please share it.
If I could English. Okay,
English is hard.
So, you know how Sparks of Life have replaced Mist? And
Yes.
we pretty much use these whenever we're in a tough situation, and we can pretty much not lose now. I mean, when you had Mist, you'd probably quit while you're ahead because that would be what you had to use for the day.
Right.
I really want that feeling of failure back into the game. Like, if we had a specific set of levels, like maybe for a new event or something, where dying would end everything and you'd forfeit your chance of winning rewards, it would really make you value your life so much more.
I agree,
Gridgeland Assault
actually.
do that? Because I specifically remember when Gridgeland Assault came out. In fact, I really like the fact that it does that. Is the fact that if you can't continue, you're basically forfeiting everything.
Yeah, that was a good mechanic.
I like that, but how about if you had you didn't even have the option to revive? Like, you might get your emergency revive, or it might just be one death. That's it. You're out.
So if you die in the Grasping Plateau, say, you just get sent back. Or anywhere. I mean, I get the point of anywhere, but at least there.
I would really love that idea, but unfortunately, I think the biggest problem would be just it'd be good to some extent, specifically for people who want it harder, but from a casual standpoint, it's...
That brings up a good point. I mean, assuming you have sparks, is there a failure state in Spiral Knights?
No.
No.
I mean, assuming you have money, is there a failure state?
Well, actually, the closest failure state I guess you can possibly get is more or less Radiance.
But that's not even a failure state, because you could just buy them, or work towards buying them.
I've not struggled with Radiance at all ever since the update came out. I still have 700 of them.
You know, that's why people like you so much. Why people say, I'm your biggest fan, because they want your Radiance. I don't know. But Spiral Knights is Dear Esther as a dungeon crawling roguelike. Honestly. I agree. I like that a lot. Though maybe, to help with what Glacies is saying, maybe in certain levels is where it needs to be.
Yeah, I was thinking of maybe a level designed specifically around the concept.
Graveyards, it would be the case. All boss levels, maybe. I don't know.
Boss Rush. Pro Sword only. Fox only. No items. Final Destination.
You just down B forever.
Screw that. I'm playing as Master Hand.
That was amazing. Though hard to control.
I never got to that point.
Was it more of an action replay code versus an actual bug?
It was an extremely obscure glitch that was discovered like 8 years after the game came out and involved plugging a controller into slot 3, pressing a button, 2 button combinations at the same time, which caused a level to be loaded and loading in strange data, allowing you to play as the character.
That's beautiful.
Okay. Well, then I wasn't missing anything. I did see it. The only reason I'd say that is because I saw it on the YouTubes once, and I believe everything I watch on the internet, so... Surely it's
Who would
something
just
actually
go
in the
do
game.
that? Just go lie on the internet?
I've done it myself, so it is legit.
Oh, that's cool.
Do you know Sonic's in Melee? You just have to beat the game 5,822 times.
Now that was
Blindfolded.
definitely true.
I'm sure it's true because Glacies, aka Sir-Greenlink, said it. And that's how life works. If Glacies says something, it's undeniably true. Unless
People
it's
don't
false.
lie on the internet.
No, of course not.
No one would
The
ever
internet-
lie on the internet.
The internet
fact-
only lies to itself.
In fact, did you know you can get the band stick by completing Bandu 4,987,000,000,000,000 times?
Or typing /item in the command console. Because people
Oh,
still believe that.
there's still comments. I get emails every time people comment. About 90% of them are, does this still work? And or friend me. I get mails in game, friend me, I want your radiance. And then like 10% of the people like, this is an April Fool's joke in all caps, and people trying to figure it out. Anyways, that's silly. We were referencing the April Fool's video that we made for 2014 on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Sklayelite. You can check it out if you want. It's our most popular video. Sky Scythe, we've made you famous. Alright, well, we got Spy Little Recon, which is our SK-related media. I suppose we should jump into that now. Well, unless there's anything else that needs to be said about making the game harder and giving it a failure state. Which I think is a really strong idea and should definitely be a thing.
Allow us to earn a maximum of 1 crown per week.
That would be glorious. Want to add like a 5th arcade gate where arsenal stations are removed. You're forced to have 2 weapons for the entire duration, but there's a guarantee that like a higher payout, but there's a failure state as in it's like an old-fashioned arcade gate.
Oh man, Elite Plus. Or Vanguard. What Elite should have been, but isn't.
It would give reason for normal weapons again, just because of the lack of the arsenal station and the fact that you can only bring 2 weapons.
That'd be fun. A challenge at any rate. Yeah, it'd be a fun little challenge to do. Maybe on a stream sometime we'll do it. Just set the rules for ourselves and see what we can do. Could be fun.
Right. Is that everything?
I think that's everything. Moving on. And the bumper. Spiral Order Recon. I didn't bring any water.
I
got it!
I have water. I'll pass it to you. Don't worry, I'll be there in about. How long do it take?
Just pour it on your mic and it'll come out my speakers.
That's a great idea.
That's how it works, right?
Believe everything you hear on the internet.
And on this podcast.
Of course. Why wouldn't you? Cautery sword. Yes. Also, 1 million crowns being given away. Honest. By Chalk 3.
Away my 58 mansions too.
All you have to do is fill in these 10 surveys and tell us your address and bank details.
And we will give you digital currency. Wow, we're losing so much credibility. People don't know what to believe anymore. Like new players that listen. I feel so bad. Okay, Chalk 3 is a prominent YouTube, probably the most prominent Spell Knights YouTuber, competing with Voxter, I suppose, with his weapon demonstration, Spell Knights gear demonstrations. He's doing a 1 million crown giveaway, and he's divided the prize up into what, 12?
20.
20 prize pools. So you put your name in the his little database generator, and like just your knight name, nothing else, and then you are in the running to get a 20th of 1 million crowns. If you do that whole thing where you have 3 accounts that all have 3 alts and you put 9 names in, I mean, I guess you could win 9 out of the 20, but don't do that because don't be a dingus and don't ruin the spirit of like giveaways, please.
Cheers, never prosper.
Please don't enter fake names either. He's already got several of them.
Yeah, that's really annoying. Like,
That's
seriously.
disappointing.
Come on, we have faith in you, community. Please. We have HRPB's video, which is The Legend of Churros. Somebody give this guy an Oscar already. This is a, like, pseudo-trailer for this churros in-joke. Can someone, like, re-explain where this started? Because I was there when the churros thing started, but at the same time, I still don't get it.
It was when we were in a after podcast party, and I specifically remember this because I had no mic in HRPB, I think. Yeah, that was it. Was speaking for me, and then we just started talking about food, and he brought up churros.
And then everyone wanted churros. And then suddenly it's a meme. Okay, okay. I was thinking it was a little more complicated than that, but okay. Yeah. That was my understanding.
And then if you want context on this video, HRPB was showing me some screenshots of a game he was working on in Unity, and he was like, he didn't even know what it's going to be about or what should call it. So we just came up with completely random suggestions for names that were obviously not going to be real, and one of them that I threw to his way was The Legend of Churros.
And so he made this thing.
Yes, and he made this thing in less than 3 hours.
HRPB, obviously make a churro simulator.
Please. I don't know if it's eat the churro, like you're the guy eating the churro, or if it's you're the churro being eaten. But either way, like, make it a thing. The churro weapon in Spiral Knights.
That'd be glorious.
You swing it around and it, like, just beat enemies over the head. It's great.
Pizza Knights are entering the cheese works once again.
That actually now gives me an idea. What if there was a trinket that specifically changed the basically the KO or death animation you have into different things like confetti or like a little spark or something?
That
or
would
churros.
be a really interesting, like, quote-unquote money-making mechanic that I would completely support. Just, like, if you made it a trinket thing, a trinket slot, then you incentivize people to buy trinkets.
Yes.
And
I don't.
people that... Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know why, but this is reminding me of these new event Pokemon that Game Freak has been releasing recently. Like, there's one that they give to you on your birthday with the move Celebrate, which is basically a reskinned Flash Splash.
Huh. Wow.
It's glorious.
That's funny. Well, like, it might balance out lockdown a little bit, right? Where people aren't double pentaing because they want to show off their churro explosion when they die. I'd do it.
I would love confetti everywhere.
And it would give you proof that they weren't using trinkets if they had it disabled.
That's true too. And people would be incentivized to spend some of their crowns into energy to get trinket slots, which aren't that expensive, honestly, once you've hit endgame. So, I'd be all for that.
150 energy per month. You could make that literally on your first day of playing.
Yep.
Even on just tier 1.
One Vanaduka run. I mean, honestly. There you go. I like that idea too. Pliss tree onion rings. We got Lugia. It's supposed to be Lugia, but I know it's pronounced Lugia, and it makes me sad that the English language is so broken. Okay. Where was I?
I read that as Luigi.
I did too.
Have I spelled this wrong?
Lugia.
Yes, it's Lugia.
Yes, I put an S instead of an A.
Luigi's. Lugia 731D made this very interesting outline. It's like line art of the Royal Jelly Palace. Very unique art style. I like the way he did the slimes. The Imposter Q's cameo in the corner.
Nick, why did you leave us?
Come back, Nick.
We miss
Cloudy
you, Nick.
red skies. I do like how the spikes on the buildings are very synonymous with the spikes on the slimes.
They look
And
like
rest
hands.
in pieces, Nick. But yeah, very nice stuff.
It's very beautiful.
It is. Other very beautiful one is the Gentleman Cupcakes, hunting in the rain. And I love this picture so much, if only because it has rain, and rain in Spiral Knights is like my favorite environment.
Why is there no more rain?
If I own a guild hall, it will always be raining in that guild hall, honestly.
This is so messed up. People who play any other game hate the rain. And yet in Spiral Knights, it's actually a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more because of the mechanics that come with it, whereas for Spiral Knights, it's just cosmetic.
Rain.
That's
Alright.
true.
What's this for me?
Anyways, this is a knight, just a single drawn knight. I like the reflection of the knight in the water.
Oh, that's amazing.
Below him. Let's also check out another link that HRPB posted of angry Glacies and the closed eyes Greenlink, which are basically the best, like, eyes for both of them, honestly. Both shouting, "I'm you." I'm putting this one in the show notes. It belongs. Alright, and Hunting in the Rain. So be sure to check all of these art pieces out, including HRPB's I'm You. HRPB, best spouse spy, Insta artist.
You're the fake knight here.
Ha,
You're
you're not even good enough to be my fake.
Darn it! Stole my line.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, I did. Oh, yeah, I should have. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I actually feel bad.
done.
That should have been yours. I
done.
ruined that. That was a moment. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so bad. I'm sorry. My apologies.
Okay.
Oh, I'm bad. Oh, I feel so bad. We're just gonna move on to unique variants.
Yes.
Check out all the links on our website, which is scully.com/arsenal. I'm gonna go cry in a corner for ruining that moment while the bumper runs.
Ladies and gentlemen, your unique variants.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm back. We're good. I think. Faker. Okay. Our Bizarre Banter discussion for next week is going to be Troikas. I should mention that. Someone requested to redo Troikas, so we'll do that next week. The
When?
differences and advantages.
When was Strikemus?
March. Something. Maybe a Google search would find it. Spiral Knights Forums Troikmas.
Can't find that way. Make sure you add the site. Site in colon.
Mess. Where's Troikmas?
Did you do a video on it?
Oh no, it was quite not that time. Troik it was in January, end of January.
Oh, right.
Oh well, we missed it this time. We'll get it next year. We'll have to celebrate it in TD Lob's absence. Anyways. Oh, I feel so bad for messing that up. Wow, screw me.
That was just hilarious.
Best moments. Alright. We're shouting out and headed out. We usually talk listener contributions here. This is where you could send us questions and comments and things like that. But we didn't get any of that. So we'll just shout out and head out. It was HRBB's birthday, was it not, earlier this week? I'm waiting for...
Yes.
Yes.
Waiting for
I wished him a
HRBB
happy
confirmation.
birthday.
Go ahead and spam him with all of your love and ecto drops that you didn't give to Sir Jinx because you're lame and we told you to, but you didn't. So give them to HRPB since he's your favorite artist instead of Sir Jinx for some reason. Because I'm stirring up like enmity between these two when they're really friends that work together.
Yeah, I think you just offended Glacies because you said if you're lame, and Glacies has been without a mic for several weeks now.
I've been several weeks. 3,000 years, it's finally here.
Sad. And happy.
Did you just make that joke?
Yes, I did have to make that joke.
I missed that one.
It's been
Whatever.
3,000 years.
You should know this. I told
don't
you
know
about
this.
it.
You made the joke, but I thought you were just being sarcastic or something. You didn't actually tell me what it was.
I can't even. It's from Pokemon. I showed you it.
What? I'm now looking through my chat history to see what this is all about.
I got the quickest thing I could find, but
Oh, the picture. I don't know. I've not played Gen 5 and Gen 6.
Then
I
you're
see it.
lame.
I am lame. I am the worst. I ruin people's lines. I make a bad podcast. I don't even know when it's my people's birthday.
you missed my birthday. It was yesterday. How could you?
I know when your birthday is, you genius. Birthday is close to mine. I'm not allowed to forget that one. Alright. Well, I guess that's the end of episode 86. Oh, I feel so bad now. You can contact us in places and things. I'm leaving. Goodbye.
Bye.
Call us 1-678-322-7765. All of the links in this episode and the other episodes that were not me spoiling jokes and missing jokes and being bad at sklayelite.com/arsenal. You can email us at arsenal@sklayelite.com. And we got a Steam group, Twitter, Facebook, stuff like that. Blah. We do have a YouTube that's still getting a consistent stream of subscribers, even though I'm not posting anything because I don't have time anymore. We'll see what we can do.
Alpha Sapphire, best game ever, 10 out of 10.
Looking forward to it.
I got it in advance.
Make your decision when it's actually released. I
Well-
don't care how good trumpets sound. It's not released.
Except I would never get an ISO because it's actually a specific 3DS format.
What I like was that one guy on the internet who said, I got my Alpha Sapphire in advance, and he had the game like in his Game Boy Advance case, and it was the best.
Besides,
Oh.
piracy is wrong.
Yes, it is. Don't do
You're a
that.
meanie poo-poo face if you pirate.
Glacies said it, it must be true. Okay, we're done. Wow. Amazing episode.
You don't see any more episodes this week if you find somebody crying.
Yeah, I'm gonna go into my corner now. Into my dark, unhappy place. Goodbye, everyone. Have a okay week, I guess. Yeah.
Geared up and ready to go? Thanks for listening to the Arsenal, a Spiral Knights podcast. See links and listen to previous episodes on our website, sklayelite.com/arsenal. Send comments, questions, and audio to arsenal@sklayelite.com or give us a call at 1-678-322-7765.
Alright, our after party is one of two things as determined by our after party coordinator Sky Scythe, who has had to leave, but it's either going to be we jump on random people in guild halls and destroy their lives with confetti and snowballs
We
and fireworks.
jump on random people and destroy their lives. Think about what you just said there.
With confetti and snowballs. Makes it better.
Or Grinchland balls of steel.
Okay, maybe we shouldn't have said balls in the same sentence as that. That makes things worse. But hey, I'm not the one with that kind of mind, I think.
Of
Or
course
we
not.
can do lockdown with the tortofists.
That sounds amazing.
Consult the straw poll.
Consult the Helix fossil because they're actually on generation 6.
Right, okay. Consult the Helix fossil. Right. Ask helixfossil.com.
What?
Type it in.
Wow.
What do we do? Oh, mighty Helix fossil. Most likely.
Why is this a thing? What is my life?
I don't know, but it's glorious.
420.
Hey, it's Compare 42 today. I'm gonna join random
Yeah.
parties with AOA. Let's see how well that works out. I do like it. Hey, some person that's a Knight Elite joined my party. I don't even know who he is.
You need to keep lighting things on fire and having them heal until all your party members die and then leave.
Snakes joined me.
Hey guys,
That
give me
is
a
perfect.
verb.
Everyone's dying.
I want to watch this.
I did too.
This
There's
is
no
why
party
I expect
spectate.
it to be a thing.
Everyone's lighting on fire. Someone just left.
Oh my god, what are you doing? Are you tormenting? Are you tormenting noobs?
Yeah.
Don't.
We're doing the
bad.
exact thing that we said not to do.
You
No,
should
he
be
said do
mentoring
it. He
them.
totally said do it on the show, and we believe everything Glacy says.
I left,
I'm pretty
I-
sure
I left-
Glacy's laugh can cure cancer.
I left Feely flaming. I went.
What? What the heck? Didn't even know the human voice was capable of such feats.